Okay, over to you, Josh. Is Josh there? Ready?
I am, yes. So as we were waiting, we were asking if people knew what this was that we're looking at, because we are here in the Toledo Zoo, and we're going to be taking a primate tour. So
Almost.
we have one of our smallest primates here at the zoo.
Yeah.
So Emily had said pygmy marmoset. But it is not quite a pygmy marmoset.
It's tomorrow night, so this is your birthday call.
Okay. Hi, Riley. Did you get new shoes?
Maybe. I have to see this fit.
So does anybody have an idea? You can use
You a baby?
the chat. What type of animal do you think this is?
Well, we won't go outside with those shoes, Riley, because Mommy might take them back if they're too small. Do you want your other shoes? You want to go outside? You can go outside. Here, but let's put these shoes on. Hey, Dad, let's go get these shoes. These shoes.
Did your shed come yet, Riley?
No.
Are you kidding? Watch your fingers, baby.
Oh, we're saying lemur. Lemur is another good guess, but these are not lemurs. It's a type of primate called an emperor tamarin. And tamarins are some of the smallest primates, and these ones happen to be from South America. They live in the Amazon, and
I just muted Mally.
all primates have some things in common, and our tamarins are a great one to look at to explore what primates have. Does anybody know what features a primate has that helps set it apart from other types of mammals? What makes a primate a primate? Well, let me help you out. One of the things that makes a primate is its eyes. So primates are known for their eyes, and their eyes can do a lot of things. So when we look at any primate, one thing that you're going to notice is that primates' eyes all face forward. So both eyes look at the same direction, and there's a special name when both eyes look at the same direction. Anybody know what we call that? When both of your eyes look in the same direction? Well, think of what is that tool that you would use to look far away? You're going to look through it both eyes to see something far away and focus on something. What do we call that? Binoculars. Yeah. So this is called binocular vision. And that's when both of your eyes can look at the same thing. And for primates, that's really important. So being able to look at the same thing with both eyes really helps them to focus. So primates all have really good vision that helps them to see. Primates also can distinguish color. So they can tell different colors apart, which not every animal or mammal can see in color. So eyesight is actually a really key feature that set primates apart from other animals. In addition to that, there's other things. Anybody else know something that a primate would have that makes it a little bit different than other mammals? While you're thinking about that, I'm going to kind of show the rest of this exhibit. You can see we have a whole lot of vines and branches for these animals to climb on. Oh, hands, thumbs, yeah. Now, not every primate actually has opposable thumbs, but they definitely have hands, and they need those hands in order to interact. So some have opposable thumbs, others do not. And sometimes that depends on whether they're a primate that does a lot of swinging and grabbing or whether they need to hold on to things. But yeah, they definitely use their hands. And because of that, their shoulders are different than other mammals. So most mammals, the resting state of their front limbs are to go down or be perpendicular with the body. But the resting state of the limbs for a primate are actually to be parallel to the body. So they are just like our arms. The last thing that really makes a primate is that they have large brains. So primates are known for their intelligence, and their brains are very large, but that's at an expense. A lot of mammals have really good senses of smell, and most primates trade off some of that sense of smell in order to have a larger brain. So that's kind of what makes a primate. Again, these are tamarins. They spend nearly 100% of their time up in trees in the Amazon rainforest. And the ones that we're looking at are called emperor tamarins. And they get that name because of that mustache that they have. And all tamarins live in family groups. And that might be just a few individuals, up to about 10 individuals. And tamarins tend to live about 10 to 15 years in the wild. While we're here, this is actually a different type of tamarin. The skylight's kind of getting us a little bit, but this is called a golden-headed lion tamarin, also from the Amazon. Anybody have any questions about primates or tamarins? All right, well, I'm going to be bouncing throughout the zoo to other primate exhibits, so I'm going to turn it over to Alex to share a little bit more about primates in general, and I'll catch you at our next exhibit.
One of the questions was, do we feed them bananas? All of our primates that we have at the zoo are omnivores, and a lot of them are frugivores, which means they eat a lot of fruit. So bananas might be one thing that we feed them. They might also get some like oranges or apple slices. Sometimes they even get like parsnips, I've seen them have. So they get all sorts of different kinds of fruit. So I was just going to share with you briefly a little bit more about primates and maybe some different pictures that we have here as Josh travels to his next exhibit. So we already talked about some of the characteristics of a primate. They have larger brains relative to their size. We talked about their eyes being in the front, so they're relying more on vision rather than smell. And we're going to talk about a couple different types of primates today. So we have kind of this tree here that shows you some of the different types of primates. We're going to talk about lemurs, and lemurs are what we would consider more primitive primates. So they look a little bit more like other types of animals. Their limbs are a little bit more downward than some of the other primates, and they have those long tails. And we'll talk a little bit more about where they live in a little bit. We also have different types of monkeys, New World monkeys, Old World monkeys, and then moving our way up into what we would consider the apes. We have lesser apes like gibbons and great apes like the orangutans, gorillas, and chimpanzees. So as you move along this sort of tree, generally speaking, the brain gets a little bit more advanced, and even with chimpanzees and gorillas, you see things like tool making and a really dynamic social structure. So as we go through our different exhibits, we'll kind of keep in mind some of these different characteristics of primates, and this is just a map of where you can find primates around the world. So with the exception of humans, primates are generally found in more tropical, warmer regions around the equator. So they are on a number of different continents besides Europe and Australia and Antarctica, but they're mostly in those more tropical regions, so a lot more in South America and Africa, and the Indonesia, India area. So let's see if Josh might be ready for us back at the zoo.
All right, yeah. We are at our next exhibit. This is actually an exhibit space that we call Primate Forest. Now, we are in the indoor space because, as I was saying at the start of this program, Toledo is expecting some storms. So we're going to look at the primate in a second, but first I want to look at how we design the exhibit. So you can see we spread food throughout the exhibit in various different places. You can see there's a whole lot of things to interact with. And why do we do that? Why do we have so many different structures, toys, food options? Any ideas on that? To keep them busy, yeah. So we just talked about how primates are very intelligent and they have that larger brain. So we want to keep their brains active. So keeping their brains active in the zoo setting means that we need to give them a lot of things to interact with. All right, so right now, our primate is up high and on the move. So this is a mother and young Francois langur. And langurs are what we consider an old world monkey, which old world monkeys are found in Africa and Asia. And the Francois langur specifically is found in the Vietnam region in the rainforests there. Try and keep a good view, but they're way up at the top. And that brings us to an interesting point. Some primates spend so much time up in the trees. Others are primates that actually will go down and spend more time on the ground. Besides the langurs, can anyone think of another primate that would spend a lot of time way up in the trees? Yeah, something like a spider monkey. Excellent. And can anyone think of a type of primate that would spend most of its time down on the ground? A gorilla, excellent. Yeah, so again, these are old world monkeys. One main difference between old world monkeys and new world monkeys, the monkeys from South America, is that tail. So the new world monkeys can do something with their tail that an old world monkey can't do. Anybody know what that might be? What can a new world monkey, a South American monkey, like a spider monkey or a howler monkey, do with their tail that our Francois langur can't do? Hang, yeah, and Emily's got it just right, yeah. So New World monkeys are the ones that have a prehensile tail, so they can grab on with their tail. Old World monkeys do not have that prehensile tail, but their tail is still really important to them. What do they use their tail for? For balance, excellent. All right, before we go to the exhibit right next to us, any questions on our langurs? No? Okay, well let's head to our next group of primates. So you can see these ones have really messed up their exhibit. They have a lot of things. And here's one right here. So we are no longer talking about monkeys. This is what we would consider an ape. And anybody know what type of ape this is? You guys are right on. White-cheeked gibbons. Yeah, these are white-cheeked gibbons. So this is our gibbon family. And in the wild, a group of gibbons would live in a family. And they are apes and not monkeys. What's the major feature that apes lack that monkeys have? Oh, not thumbs. That's actually the opposite. Apes have the thumbs and monkeys lack them sometimes. What do monkeys have that apes don't have? Yeah, tails. Yeah, so you might notice that our gibbons, which are considered apes, but they're classified as lesser apes because of their smaller size, have really long arms. And that is to help them move. So their long arms, actually, as you can see, are female here. Their arms are so long that even when they're walking on 2 feet, their arms can still touch the ground. And that is to help them get a lot of momentum when they're swinging from branch to branch. Now, this is a family, so we have our dad here, who is black, here, who is, and we have our child here. And our child is kind of a combination of the two. And this is really interesting. When a baby gibbon is born, what color do you think they are? Oh, they're not gray. They're kind of gray when they're an adolescent, like this one. They're kind of white. They're actually a little bit orangish, and they quickly turn brown to match the color of the mother's fur. And they stay brown for a while, and then regardless of whether they're male or female, they all become black. So as they're a kid, they're black. And then when they're adolescents, if they are males, they'll stay black. But if they are like our adolescent and they're females, they'll start to turn brown again. So the babies are brown for a very important reason. Why would they be that brown color? Whether they're male or female, all of them are brown to help them to camouflage. Yeah, camouflage, and specifically camouflage with the mother. All right, there. Any questions on our gibbon family? What is their diet? Yeah, they are herbivores. So here at the zoo, we give them a lot of different things. Looks like they have some leafy greens today, different types of lettuce. They have some eggplant, some fruits, but mostly leafy greens. In the wild, they're going to eat strictly that vegetation. And they're what we call a frugivore, which means their diet is primarily different types of fruits. Do you know that our young one is a female, and they do have names, but it is very hard for me to keep track of of all of the names of our primates. So unfortunately, I don't know all of our gibbon or monkey names. All right, I'm gonna turn it back over to Alex so I can head to our next primate building.
All right. So we talked a lot about monkeys and apes, and briefly I wanted to mention the third type of primate, which is the lemur. And unfortunately, with the rainy weather, I'm not sure if the lemurs will be out today, but that's okay. We're gonna see some really cool animals instead. But you might know that lemurs are specifically found on the island of Madagascar, and they're just a very unique animal. Here's some pictures of some unusual types of lemurs. So these are an ii and a slow loris. Super unique adaptations. The ii has kind of a special finger that helps it to find insects as it's going through a tree. And the slow loris is one of the only venomous primates. So it has venom that is under its armpits that helps it to defend itself. So those are some lemurs. I didn't want to leave them out because they are a primate, even if they're a little bit more primitive than the other primates. So we also talked about monkeys. We have lots of different types of monkeys, spider monkeys, howler monkeys, and that one with the weird nose is the proboscis monkey. And what I wanted to do really quickly, as Josh is traveling to the next exhibit, is show you guys a couple of skulls that we have, because we've been talking about how the brains and the eyes are some of the most important features of monkeys and apes. So we can do a little comparison of some different types of skulls. So let's see if you guys can maybe guess what some of these are. Does anybody think they might know what this skull is from? This is a very unique skull. It's a little bit different shape than all the other skulls that I have. And I'll give you a hint. This is a primate that you might have seen in a movie that has to do with lions. Well, baboon's pretty close. They're kind of related to baboons. This is a mandrill. So I have a picture of a mandrill that I can pull up here in a second. But you can see the mandrill still has those front-facing eyes, but they have a little bit longer snout. And what's really unique is these very long canine teeth. Not only are they omnivores, so they can eat other things, but that's going to help defend them, so to fight off any predators that might be coming around. So this is a type of monkey, and we just saw the gibbons, and so this is actually a gibbon skull. And even though this is a monkey and this is an ape, they do have some pretty similar skulls. But you can see that both of them have a combination of teeth for eating fruit and vegetation, so they have the sharp teeth and the more flat teeth as well. Now, usually most primates, they don't eat like meat, they don't eat steaks. What might they eat that might be sort of considered a meat, but still an animal product? What do you think they might eat? That's kind of a meat. Yeah, insects, right. So a lot of these apes and monkeys, they might pick insects off of each other's fur, something called social grooming. And the last skull I wanted to show you guys that we're going to see next is this big one right here. So who thinks they know what this extremely large skull might be from? Yeah, this is the gorilla skull. So you can see the great apes have the largest brain cavities of all the different primates. So they have an extremely large skull, and they have this crest at the top of their head. Does anybody think they know what this crest at the top of their head might be for? And I actually have another one. The males usually have a more pronounced crest than the females. So you can see this one. This one might be a male. It's got a little bit bigger crest. Defense is a good guess. Fur's a good guess. It kind of has that blockiness on it. Actually, some people think that the muscles that help them to chew all of the vegetation that they're eating, they have to have very well-developed jaw muscles. So their whole skull helps to attach those muscles and help them chew. So that's one thing that people think. So there's our skulls, and just so you can see the different creatures of the skulls that I showed you really quickly. Oh, we're going backwards. So there's the mandrill, there's a monkey, and we have some apes. So we'll show you some apes back at the zoo.
All right, so I am in our great ape house, and I'm actually underneath this great ape. So they are in glass right above me. What type of ape are we looking at? Orangutans, yeah, orangutans. And orangutans are from either Borneo or Sumatra, which are islands near Indonesia in the Pacific Ocean or the Indian Ocean. And this is our, or one of our orangutan families. So we have Boomer. Boomer is our adult male, and you can tell an adult male orangutan with the cheek pads. So you can see he's big and his face looks really rounded with those cheek pads. They also have air sacs so that they can make really loud, long calls. And then we have the mother, which is Yasmin. So she's an adult female. And then we have the young one. I don't necessarily want to call him a baby, but that is Wakil. Now, let's take a look at Boomer's hand, if he'll cooperate for us. So their hands are huge. And you might notice they have really long fingers and long thumbs. And if we look at their feet, they also have an opposable toe so that their feet can work very similar to hands. So there we go. There's a good view of Boomer's big hand. So that helps to keep them up in the trees. Their long arms, just like the gibbons, are useful for swinging. But orangutans are really an interesting primate in the sense that a lot of primates are very active. They spend a lot of time foraging for food. And an orangutan will sit there and rest a lot more, maybe under the cover of a leaf, or our orangutans at the zoo like to sometimes go under cover of a blanket, like what Wakil is doing right now. So they'll sit and just wait, and then very suddenly they'll just move for great distances to find that food. All right, we want to make sure that we have time to get to our final primate as well, but we want to make sure we have time to answer questions about our orangutans. Who has a question that we can answer about orangutans? Well, I have a question for you. So if they live in a tropical place where it's warm, why do they have this long fur? You can see, especially with Boomer, that long fur. Why do they have that?
I think the kids are fascinated being able to see an orangutan so close by.
Oh, yes. A great view.
Dawson says to protect them.
Yeah, it is a form of protection, definitely. Let's see. There's Wakil. He's kind of swinging. So it actually has to do with how wet that habitat is. So that fur can help to keep them drier. The long hair can help catch the rain and kind of drip it off of them. All right, well, I'm going to turn it back to Alex because we're going to try to hit one more exhibit.
All right, those guys are being super cute. I love Wakil, and actually, Just so you guys know, we just released it a few days ago. We actually had another baby orangutan at the zoo. So Wakil is no longer our youngest orangutan. On the screen there is a picture of our newest baby orangutan. His name is Fazar. And so he's super cute. He's about 6 months old now. So we're really excited. So we have two family groups of orangutans at the zoo. You saw one family group. We have another family group, and they were the ones that had this baby orangutan. So super duper duper cute. And I do have, we were just talking about their fur. So I do have a little bit of fur here from an orangutan. So you can see just how coarse it is when you get up close. So this is definitely not a soft fur like on a dog or a cat. This is very, very coarse, almost like hair. And so that, like we said, it's a little bit different. Helps to keep them dry. All right. Any other questions we can answer for you about orangutans or gorillas? I do have an orangutan skull as well. So they're pretty similar to the gorilla skulls. We can do a little comparison here. Here's the gorilla one again. So they have a little bit less furrowed brow, I would say is one way to put it. But if you imagine the orangutan has those facial pads that aren't really reflected on the skull as well. All right, so we're gonna get to, looks like we might see one more young animal as well if we go back to Josh.
All right, so we are at our final primate exhibit, and this is the largest type of primate. This is our gorilla exhibit. So we have a small troop of gorillas with just 5 members, and we're looking at the youngest member right here. This is a male gorilla named Makonzi, and we'll take a whole look at the whole troop. They're hanging out outside, but underneath their shelter because it has started to rain here. So here are our gorillas, including our largest gorilla, Quisha. So they are a gorilla troop, and gorillas spend their time in a troop, and troops are led by an adult male gorilla, like our adult male gorilla. And those gorillas sometimes get white or silvery hair on their back, and they're known as silverbacks. Yeah, so this is our silverback. Now, he has a really important job. The silverback's job is to protect the whole troop. So he's a little unsure of me coming so close to his family. That's why he's standing up and kind of sizing up whether or not he views me as a threat. Now, hopefully he doesn't, but he might. He's going to check things out because it's his job to keep the family safe. The troop would then also be less dominant males, and then females, and then any babies in there. So gorillas are known to be smart. In fact, there's many cases of gorillas that have learned sign language and been able to communicate. There's a question: are apes smarter than monkeys? You know, both are very intelligent. We have more evidence and research with apes, but that's not to say that monkeys aren't intelligent in their own way. Is there often competition to be an alpha? There is sometimes competition to be an alpha, but usually there isn't significant. So if you're the biggest and the largest, you typically are the alpha.
Is the alpha often the oldest or just the strongest?
It depends. The alpha is definitely an adult male. but it's not necessarily the oldest or the strongest. It's kind of a combination of who is the best leader and defender of the troop.
And how many gorillas are often in a troop?
Well, a troop could be small, like ours, but it could be a much more extensive group. There have been troops that are closer to 30 individuals in the wild. So it just depends. And some of it depends on the resources that are available. Now, even though these are the largest type of primate, they are vegetarians. So they eat just different vegetation and plants.
And then, oh, and how many can be in one family?
Well, you should really view the troop kind of like an extended family. So gorillas are not monogamous, and that leader of the troop is the father typically to all of the babies in the group. So a troop could be an extended family of 30 members with half siblings coming from each mother.
And how old is the baby, and who is the baby's mom in this troop?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, I have pictures of our whole troop right here. So let's take a look at them. So this is Quisha. Quisha is born in 1988 and was born in Chicago. And then we have Johari. Johari is our oldest female. She was also born in 1988, but she was born here. And then Katani, she was born at the Oklahoma Zoo in 1994. And Katani is Makonzi's mother. And then here's a picture of Makonzi, born in 2017. And then our youngest adult is Sufi. And Sufi was born in the Bronx Zoo in 2001. So we have quite a diverse troop. How long can they live for? Usually they live into their 40s, but in zoos there have been some gorillas that have been able to live to about 50 years. All right. Well, I want to thank you, and I'm sure Alex. Alex, did you have anything else to share with the group in our final minutes?
I think I'm all set. We got to see all the biofacts.
Excellent. Okay. Well, we want to thank you very much. Oh, how many kids can they have? A mother gorilla has typically one baby at a time. All right, so we want to thank you very much for joining us on this primate tour. We're thankful that the weather held out and we were able to see many of them, even though we weren't able to see quite all of them. And we look forward to our next connection with you.
Yeah, and that's next week, and I believe it is next Friday.
I think it's Venom next Friday. Is that right? Venom?
Venom, yes. And we know the difference between poison and venom now. So we're really excited about venomous animals. Thank you so much. Sorry for all the tech stuff at the beginning anyway, it happens. Grandbabies call.
It does.
And thanks everyone. And we're going to see you hopefully for Fraction Friday with Professor Andy in about 40 minutes. So have fun, and thanks Josh and Alex. Take care. And Alex, is it okay if we use the baby's picture in our newsletter this week?
Josh, would you say that's fine?
Yes, that's the picture that was released to the press, so it is open for use.
What is his name or her name?
Fajar, let me pull it up to spell it. It is Fajar. And
Jar, and he's a baby orangutan, right?
Yep.
Okay, so because I'm sure the boys and girls would love to read about him. So I'm going to look him up on your website because he's just so darn cute.
Yes.
So thanks, everyone. We'll see you in a few minutes for Fraction Friday. Bye.